The regional body ECOWAS is once again in the spotlight, and not for reasons that inspire confidence or unity. In a development that is shaking the very foundations of West African politics, Julius Maada Bio, the president of Sierra Leone, has taken over the rotating chairmanship of ECOWAS, replacing Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But the timing of his appointment could not be more volatile. Just days after Bio assumed leadership, the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, the breakaway bloc formed by Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, delivered a stunning economic blow to ECOWAS by announcing a 0.5% import levy targeting goods from member states of the regional group. This bold move, orchestrated by the AES, signals a deeper, more strategic confrontation between the two blocs. What was once viewed as a diplomatic standoff has now transformed into a full-scale economic and political standoff, with high stakes for both sides. While ECOWAS seeks to maintain its influence across West Africa, the AES is asserting itself as a sovereign and independent alternative force, both militarily and economically. The 0.5% import levy may seem small on paper, but symbolically, it marks a profound break from the old regional order and a clear message. The AES will no longer bow to ECOWAS or its leadership. President Julius Maada Bio now finds himself at the center of this storm. As the new chair of ECOWAS, he inherits a fractured region, with his organization increasingly seen as being out of touch with the aspirations of the people, particularly in the Sahel. The transition of power from Bola Tinubu to Maada Bio might have been ceremonial, but the challenges it presents are very real. Tinubu's tenure saw ECOWAS become more aggressive, even threatening military intervention in Niger following the July 2023 coup. That threat backfired spectacularly, rallying public support behind the AES and further isolating ECOWAS from the populations it claims to represent. In contrast, Bio steps into the role with less fire and more diplomacy, but he faces the same hard questions. How will ECOWAS handle the defiance of the AES? What tools remain at its disposal? And most importantly, does ECOWAS still have legitimacy in the eyes of West Africans? The AES, made up of military-led governments that came to power following coups in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, has steadily built its own regional identity. Initially dismissed as temporary regimes by international powers, these governments have proven remarkably resilient. Rather than crumble under sanctions and threats, they have fortified their alliance, both politically and militarily. The latest economic maneuver, slapping a 0.5% import duty on ECOWAS member countries, is not about revenue. It's a calculated strategy to assert economic autonomy and test the cohesion of ECOWAS under its new chair. The symbolism of the levy cannot be overstated. ECOWAS, once considered a champion of regional integration and free trade, is now being charged a tax to access a bloc it once tried to isolate. For the AES, it's a way of turning the tables, reminding ECOWAS that the Sahel cannot be bullied, sanctioned, or starved into submission. It is also a way to begin building the financial mechanisms needed to fund the AES Confederation without foreign aid or dependency. The AES is also taking steps to form a unified economic structure, including the establishment of a joint bank and possibly a common currency. These plans, once dismissed as utopian, are now being seriously discussed in capitals across the Sahel. For ECOWAS, this presents an existential threat. If more countries like Togo or Guinea begin to lean toward the AES, the ECOWAS framework could collapse from within. The announcement of a new AES passport and a proposed military academy only adds to the impression that this new alliance is not a temporary reaction, but the beginning of a new regional order. President Bio must now decide whether to take a hardline stance like his predecessor or chart a new course of engagement, but any move he makes will be scrutinized. The populations of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are watching. So are the governments of Guinea, Chad, and Togo. For many ordinary Africans, ECOWAS has become synonymous with foreign influence and elite politics, while the AES represents a revolutionary path forward, even if imperfect. This perception shift matters. When ECOWAS imposed harsh sanctions on Niger in 2023, It was not the AES that suffered the most. It was ECOWAS that lost credibility. The sanctions isolated Niger from power, trade, and essential supplies, but they also revealed how disconnected ECOWAS had become from its people. In contrast, the AES used the moment to foster deeper unity, build regional military cooperation, and invest in national industries. From gold mining in Burkina Faso to oil contracts in Niger, these countries are learning to leverage their natural resources independently. The import levy is just the next logical step. The situation is also being complicated by external interests. France, and the European Union have long relied on ECOWAS to maintain stability in West Africa. But as the AES moves away from foreign military partnerships and builds stronger ties with countries like Russia and Turkey, Western influence is waning. That's a major concern for ECOWAS, which often acts in alignment with foreign powers. Under Bio's leadership, the regional bloc will be under pressure to prove it can act independently and regain trust. Domestically, Bio faces his own issues. Sierra Leone is still grappling with economic challenges, high youth unemployment, and post-election tensions. Leading ECOWAS will require significant diplomatic energy and political capital. It is unclear whether he will have the bandwidth or the regional support to manage the crisis unfolding between ECOWAS and the AES. Meanwhile, on the streets of Ouagadougou, Bamako, and Niamey, the message is clear. The people are standing behind the AES. Large public rallies in support of leaders like Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Colonel Assimi Goïta, and General Abdourahmane Chiani show a new sense of national and regional pride. This isn't just about military rule, it's about reclaiming sovereignty and redefining African leadership on African terms. In that spirit, the AES is not merely reacting to ECOWAS, but actively building a new regional vision. The 0.5% import levy is a bold declaration of that vision. It asserts not only financial autonomy, but also the right to set the rules of engagement in West Africa. ECOWAS, under its new chair, must now choose: continue down the path of confrontation, or recognize that the center of gravity in West Africa has shifted. The coming months will be decisive. If ECOWAS refuses to engage with the AES as equals, it risks further isolation. If it escalates tensions, economically or politically, it could trigger deeper divisions and even more exits. But if it listens, reforms, and opens the door to a new model of cooperation, there may still be a chance for unity, on new terms. As President Julius Maada Bio begins his term, he must grapple not only with the burden of leadership, but also with the expectations of a region in transformation. The ECOWAS he leads today is no longer the unchallenged authority it once was. The AES is rising, and with it, a new chapter in the story of African self-determination. Now more than ever, the people of West Africa are watching. Will ECOWAS adapt and evolve, or will it resist change and collapse under its own weight? The answer lies not in Abuja or Accra, but in the choices leaders like Julius Maada Bio make in the days to come. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Chronicle Traoré for more in-depth updates on African sovereignty, leadership, and revolutionary change. We're telling the stories they don't want you to hear.